public sector workers on minimum wage will see their salaries double after the federal government reached an agreement on Thursday with labor unions who have been threatening strikes as the cost of living is getting out of hand. The new minimum wage is set at 70,000 naira, approximately $44, 6 times lower than what the union were demanding. They accepted the offer with mixed feelings, considering the country's economic woes. That's what the Nigerian Labour Congress President Ajaero said on Thursday, 18th of July 2024, after meeting with the President Bola Tinubu in Abuja, the country's capital. The new pay will not take immediate effect, as federal lawmakers will have to pass a new law to approve it. But one still has to wonder if this is enough, given the country's hardship. So let's look at a comparative analysis between other countries. To put Nigeria's economic challenges into perspective, it's important to compare its minimum wage with other top African countries and major economies worldwide. Nigeria's current 30,000 naira minimum wage, or $18 approximately, pales in comparison to South Africa's minimum wage, which stands at around 21.69 rands per hour, approximately $1.4, translating to about $250 monthly. In Egypt, the minimum wage is around 2,400 Egyptian pounds per month, approximately $154. But when compared to global standards, the disparity becomes even more glaring. For instance, the US federal minimum wage is around $7.25 per hour, roughly equating to $1,200 per month. In the United Kingdom, the minimum wage varies by age, with the highest being around £9.5 per hour, approximately $1,500 per month. These comparisons show the stark reality of Nigerian workers who earn a fraction of their counterparts in other regions. Now let's look at President Tinubu's reforms that has brought the country to its present situation. Since he came into office in May last year, Nigeria's President Bola Tinubu has made some bold economic reforms that have stirred debates and triggered nationwide ramifications. The most notable are the removal of fuel subsidy and the unification of the country's multiple exchange rates. While these measures were intended to stabilize the nation's economy, they have led to the substantial devaluation of the naira against the dollar. Consequently, gasoline prices have more than doubled, and inflation has soared to as high as 34.1% as of last month, marking the highest rate in nearly 3 decades. The removal of fuel subsidy, a long-standing economic policy that has kept gasoline prices artificially low, was a controversial move. Proponents argue that the subsidies were unsustainable, costing the government billions of dollars that could be redirected to infrastructure and social services. However, the immediate impact on everyday Nigerians has been very harsh. With gasoline prices skyrocketing, the cost of living has surged, leaving many Nigerians finding it difficult to make ends meet. The government's rejection of the union's demand to increase the minimum wage from 30,000 naira to nearly 500,000 naira has also fueled a lot of discontent. This led to a fresh wave of strike, bringing Africa's most populous nation to a halt. The new minimum wage, which is far below what the union proposed, is being met by criticism from the country's governors who say that they cannot meet the demands. Critics of President Tinubu's policy argue that the economic reforms, while necessary, have been poorly timed and implemented without proper cushioning for the Nigerian populace. The immediate removal of fuel subsidy has inappropriately affected lower and middle income classes, who now face exorbitant fees for transportation and basic goods. Inflation, driven by the naira's devaluation, has further eroded the purchasing power, pushing more Nigerians into poverty. Chronic corruption remains a pervasive issue, exacerbating the economic disparity. Despite being one of Africa's major crude oil producers, Nigeria struggles with poor wealth distribution. Public officials enjoy lavish lifestyles, starkly contrasting with the general population's hardship. Last year, the president approved millions of dollars for SUVs, including one for his wife, whose office is not constitutionally recognized. This expenditure has drawn anger, showing the disconnect between the ruling class and the ordinary people. The situation in Nigeria is almost comedic. Being one of the world's largest oil producers, it can't seem to keep the lights on for its citizens. Meanwhile, politicians cruise in SUVs being funded by taxpayers. While lecturers and medical professionals strive for the better life, politicians are being paid salaries for attending unofficial meetings and functions. It's a classic case of all animals are equal, but some animals are more equal than others. From George Orwell's book, Animal Farm. You can keep the conversation going in the comments. What do you think about the new minimum wage?